You want I think that's okay. I'm gonna bring up the please.
So you're live now.
More people entering.
And I'm gonna make you host as well. So you're the host. I do not have any access, so I'm gonna leave. All good?
Yes. 1 second, please.
All right. Good luck, everybody. Good to see everybody here.
This is so cool.
Thank you, Venki.
I'll see you guys later. Have fun.
Okay, so let's get this started. People will be trickling in as we speak. Let's get this started. So, hi, welcome to GOB's Networks Capital Raising Meeting. Yona Weiss is here today. Yona is a powerhouse with property owners' tax savings as a business director at Madison Specs. A national cost segregation leader, he has assisted clients in saving tens of millions of dollars on taxes through cost segregation. He has a background in teaching and a passion for real estate and helping others. He's a real estate investor and host of the top podcast, Wise Advice. Pleasure having you here, Yona. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Sam. It's great to see you. 1 second. Yeah, we're live streaming right now. One of my colleagues, my boss, just walked in the room here. Great to see you. We got an interesting topic for you today.
Very excited to hear more, and we're all here. For everybody who's watching this right now, feel free to put in the comments any questions or insights that you would like to share. This is a very, very good opportunity to get to learn more from Yona. And yeah, with that said, Yona, how do you like to, you want to start with the slides or?
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, we're talking about social media today, right? It's who here uses social media? Anyone?
Raise of hands so that we can see.
There you go. All right. Well, let's put in the chat box over here, guys. And you guys, those who are watching this live, you can also write down the thing. Those who are using social media, who would like, you can put in the chat box. Just comment me if the answer is you. If you'd like to get better at using social media, just write in the chat box there, me. There you go. All right. Looks like everyone. I guess not everyone wants to be better. All right. For sure. Okay. Well, I think everyone wants to because why? Because we see the power of social media, and sometimes we see it maybe not look real, but from the investing side of things, I think a lot of people see the benefit of using social media and using it in the right way. So I'd love to just share my screen now, and we got some great slides over here that I'd love to show a presentation that I made especially, well, not especially for this group, but it is customized for this group. So as you may know, here, let's just share the screen. There we go. All right. So the topic over here is how to make social media connections that convert. And, you know, when we're talking about social media, especially those of us who are real estate investors, those of us who are trying to raise money and trying to find deals and all things like that, what we're really looking to do is make connections, right? And make meaningful relationships, because everyone knows no one's going to invest with you. No one's going to do a deal with you if they don't really know you and if they don't like you. So we got to figure out how to bridge that gap. Social media is a really amazing way to kind of bridge that gap at scale. So what we're going to talk about today, and even though I'm a cost segregation expert, that's my main business. I host the Wise Advice podcast. You can see over here, which, by the way, shameless plug over here. We're doing a giveaway during the month of February. So you got 1 week left, actually 5 days left, to win some nice Wise Advice swag and $100 given away to 10 different people. You can actually win that multiple times. Samson knows about that because he won, I think, one time.
I won twice.
He won twice. Look at that. $200. All right, it wasn't, and you can enter again. All you need to do is leave a review. So check that out, Wise Advice on Podchaser. You can leave a review for every single episode. You can literally enter 210 times. So without further ado, let's talk about social media connections. So even though I'm a cost segregation expert, even though I host this great podcast called Wise Advice, you know, I use social media on a daily basis, and I do it to get amazing connections, amazing relationships. So what we're going to talk about, these are the topics I'm going to share today. And I'd love to just bring up my little magic wand here, right? So you can see what I'm talking about. how you create your profile, because your profile, we're going to talk about why that is so important to have a profile. What about engaging with your network? All of these things are super, super important, and not all of us are maximizing, these different levels. Growing your network, how to do that. Share your journey. We'll talk about teaching what you know, creating real relationships, and be social. We're going to talk about what I actually mean by be social, right? Because it is called social media for a reason. And the use of multiple platforms. When is it, best to use multiple platforms, or should you just focus on one platform? These are the things that I decided we're going to talk about today. And I'm love for anyone who has any questions at any point, please put them in the chat box over here, or wherever you're watching this. Make sure to tag me, because I'm not sure where we're streaming this live, but we will check back to wherever that will be so we can find out all this stuff. This is going to be really, really, really fun. So guys, start with your profile. Okay. I am very, very big on LinkedIn. Now, how many of you here, I think those who are on the live stream over here, I think I know everyone. I think we're connected to everyone on LinkedIn. If we are not yet, make sure to send me a connection request. Oh, we're live on LinkedIn. How do you like that? I should share this. Okay. I just clicked the button. So you saw my screen over there. I'm going to use my second screen over here and just share this to my network. So everyone can join live. So let's do that. And if anyone else is that, even though sharing is not caring on LinkedIn, but some people will see it. Someone want to say, Misa, you said something?
I said, awesome.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Okay. So, now I'm seeing, look at that. Jim is on LinkedIn. So see, I didn't see these comments before. Now that I pulled this up, I can see both the chat from you guys here and the chat from the LinkedIn. So that's awesome. So now we got Cecilia is also on the LinkedIn live. Awesome. So the Wi-Fi on the plane, Jim says, is terrible. So listen, guys, why is LinkedIn so important? LinkedIn is the biggest business and networking platform that is out there. Okay. And even though you can see, I got BizFluence over here. That's another fun platform that I'm a part of. But why is LinkedIn so important? I challenge every single one of you to right now, Google your name. Okay. Just Google your name. Pull up, if you have a second screen or you have a window open, wherever you are, if you're watching this, just type in your name into Google. Okay. And I guarantee you that your name, unless it's a very, very common name, will come up as one of the, if not the top result on a Google search, will be your LinkedIn profile. Okay. That is, if you have a LinkedIn profile. If you don't, then it won't, right? But if you have a LinkedIn profile, it will be up there, which means everyone who Googles your name, anyone who's going to want to do business with you in any way, shape, or form is going to Google your name. And guess what? What's going to come up is LinkedIn. You have an opportunity to share who you are. All right. Yeah, Julia, it may not work if you have a common name. Oh no, Keish says someone else's LinkedIn profile showed up. I hope it's not an imposter. That happens sometimes too. But it's free. Okay. LinkedIn is free, which means anyone who's going to search your name, you can show up and you can showcase your work. You can tell people who you are and how you help them. This is, and make sure your tagline is memorable. See my tagline over here? I change this from time to time, but it says cost segregation expert, millions of taxes saved, host of Wise Advice podcast, real estate investor, people connector. Anytime anyone sees my name, and your name will come up, especially if you're active, we'll get to that a little bit later. Anyone who sees your name will immediately know who you are and what you do, especially if that tagline stands out and is memorable. Okay, so it's free. And you got to make sure that your profile is up to date. And I have a free resource on my website. If anyone wants to go to yonaweiss.com, you can get a free resource just to show you how to set up your LinkedIn profile. I won't add you to any list and you're not going to get any emails from me, but it's literally just a resource to show you what all the different sections on LinkedIn are and why you need to put media up there, why you need to put pictures, why you need to have, even if you're not going to post, even if you're not going to be active on the platform, but because, like I said, when people Google your name, it will come up. So your profile, building that out is a really, really important thing. And don't leave any of the sections empty. I go through this on the resource over there, so I'm not going to go too deep into it today. But it's such a valuable resource, especially if you are active on the platform. If you're active, so then anyone who's going to connect with you or if you send someone a connection request, if someone sends me a connection request and I don't know who they are and they're not in the real estate, or I see very clearly, maybe they're not in the real estate industry, whatever it is, I'm going to click on their profile. I'm going to check every single person pretty much who sends me a connection request. And if they look like they're not a real person, or they look like they have very few connections, or they don't send me a very personalized message, not a sales pitch, remember, do not do that. But they're not going to, if they're going to send that, I will more than likely connect. But if they don't have a profile that they're spending a few minutes of time to just update, then I don't really honestly take them seriously. I don't know if they're a real person or if they're a bot or something like that. So I am very wary of that. And I think a lot of other people are as well. So really easy fix. May take you 10, 15, 20 minutes just to make your profile look a little more active and robust, but it is extremely worth it. Like I said, comes up on a Google search. Okay, now what about using the platform itself? So using the platform, we talked about how to actually use the platform and engaging on the platform. This is something I created a long time ago called the 18 cents challenge on LinkedIn. I actually have an article on LinkedIn if anyone wants to check that out and see what that's all about. You can see the 18 cents challenge, how to maximize your reach by adding massive value to others. The reason why this is so important is because you may not be comfortable, and I know it's a really challenge, and there are a lot of types of challenges out there, and I'm going to do a LinkedIn challenge. I'll talk about that soon too, but posting can be a little bit overwhelming. Okay. Posting on LinkedIn for a lot of people is overwhelming. How do I post? What do I post? People aren't going to see it, blah, blah, blah. There are a lot of excuses. I say the same thing to myself all the time, even though I've been posting consistently for over 4 years, almost every single day. However, there's a way that you can kind of overcome that, which is not by posting, but by commenting on engaging with other people's posts on popular posts, especially if you catch it at an early stage, like right when they post something or within the first hour of someone posting something. So you can spend time getting to know others by engaging on their posts. So I call it the 18 cents challenge because it's based on a strategy that Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, if anyone's heard of him, someone that I've learned a tremendous amount from in terms of marketing and social media marketing, et cetera. He had something called the $1.80 method. And the $1.80 method essentially said that I'm going to spend $1.80 a day. What does that mean? I'm going to put my 2 cents on 90 different posts a day. So $1.80, right? 90 posts times 2 cents. So that was what he was doing for many years. He spent literally commenting on other people's posts strategically on Twitter and on Instagram. So I took this to LinkedIn. I said 90 posts a day. That's crazy. How can a person do that? If you're spending 8 hours a day, constantly, all you're doing all day long, it's going to be difficult to do that. Okay. But if you whittle that down to 9 posts a day, that is certainly feasible. Even if it takes 20 minutes, an hour of your day, it is extremely worthwhile. You will get to know people this way, and is a very strategic way to be seen by a lot of people, meaning you don't have to post. If you post and you're only getting, your post is being seen by 100 people or 200 people, 1,000 people. But if you comment a very witty or maybe thoughtful or thought-provoking comment on someone else's post who has a much larger following, everyone who will see that post will probably see your name and your comment. So it's a great way to be seen by a lot of people. And that will actually get you build your connections. Not only will it build that relationship with the person who posts, because especially if it's thought-provoking, you may have a conversation, start conversations that way and start real engagement. That's an incredible kind of hack, if you will, that will help you to just kind of get started on LinkedIn, on social media without actually posting. Now, posting is really important. And I know I saw someone Yvonne asked over here, how many times should you be posting a day? We'll get into that a little bit, whether or not you should be posting once or twice or 10 times. So how should we be doing this? How do you do this? This 18 cents challenge. And I highly recommend this for everyone, whether you're doing the actual challenge or not, or just doing this strategically. If even if it's like 5 posts a day or 10 posts a day or 20 posts, whatever it's going to be. What you're going to do, find recent posts. Okay. So you can toggle your LinkedIn. And I'm actually sharing my screen over here. So let's see, where's my LinkedIn profile here? Let's bring up LinkedIn here. You guys can see my LinkedIn here. So you go to your homepage, and here I'm on my desktop. Instead of sort by top, you can sort by recent. Okay. So let's look here, click this button here and see what shows up at the top of the feed. You click recent and you'll see recent things. This will show you recent activity. Okay. So you see, this is one of my connections celebrated this post. So again, one thing I'm really, really, really big on is because not only your comments or your engagement will help you not only with other people's posts, but what is LinkedIn showing me? LinkedIn is showing me not this person's post. It's showing me that one of my connections engaged with this person's post. Okay. So if you're engaging with other people's posts all the time, when your connections open up their feed, they're going to see your name here at the top. Okay. So that's really important. So again, there's promoted content over here, but again, I'm not seeing posts for themselves. I'm seeing people in my network that are commenting on other people's posts. Okay. So just back to my presentation over here, find recent posts. Okay. And comment on a post, try to have the first comment. That's a really good thing to do. You can find relevant hashtags. Hashtags are a great way to find posts by people in your industry. If people use hashtags, and look for your target audience. And there's another way you can do this. I actually have a spreadsheet that I've made, actually several different spreadsheets that I've made where I can link to people's recent activity. If I want to, you don't have to search people, search through the feed to find something. I can actually just look at this spreadsheet that I have that will show me who my connections have actually posted recently. Okay. And I can click right to their profile, not their profile, but actually their recent activity. So that's another good hack you can do. I'll just show you here, LinkedIn. Oh no, don't do that. Sorry. I didn't mean to do that. One off of this. So now I'm going to have to scroll back to my page. So where are we up to here? Okay. So let's see an example here. Let's talk about connecting with people. Okay. Now this is really important on all platforms. I'm going to talk about LinkedIn specifically because it's much easier to kind of sift through. So you see here, I have invitations. I have 545, right? Outstanding invitations over here because I don't connect with everyone that sends me a connection request. I know a lot of people do. That's fine. You can, but what I hear a lot of people complaining about, in fact, all the time people are complaining about this, is people sending me all these spammy connections, right? Spammy messages. Well, don't avoid spam and sales pitches. How do you get around that? By not necessarily connecting with everyone. Okay. So look here, this guy, he's a digital marketing specialist. Okay. So I'm going to click on their profile and see, why is this guy reaching out to me? Very likely he's going to send me a sales pitch. This guy also, right? He's helping professionals increase sales. That's fine. He saw, right? He actually had a very thoughtful comment. I saw a comment on a Dale Dupree's post, and I thought I would shoot you a message. So it could be it's a good connection, maybe not. And then you have people like this just sending random, hey, I really like your style in your profile picture. Like, hello, okay, that's really interesting. I think that's really just a bot that is sending out these messages. Okay, I get these every single day. I'm sure you guys do as well. You can tell that these people are just sending this from a bot. They're not sending it from themselves, which means they're just trying to connect with more people so they can try to sell people. That's using social media in the wrong way, in my opinion. So we want to build real connections. So I'm talking about engaging with people, finding people that you actually have common ground with. Okay. People don't get these kind of messages every day, Samson? You don't think so?
I think people at your stage may have that, situation. But most people starting out, they're not being found easily on LinkedIn, and you're addressing the way that people can be found and the way you can attract people. So it's perfect.
That's true. But I think I think a lot of people are getting these type of connection requests, or if you're just getting random connection requests, once you accept it, they might send you like a sales pitch or like some random message like that. But what I'm finding is that, and I've seen some of these robots, some of these programs that are out there, I don't particularly use them or like them, but I've seen them that you can literally send like 100 connection requests. All you do is put in like keywords and find people like multifamily or real estate or whatever. And you find these, and then we'll get like a list of people that fit that. And then we'll just send connection requests with a little message over here. So this person didn't necessarily take the time to write this, just the robot did, and sent it out to 100 people. So these are things you can avoid. That's why I don't accept these connections, because I don't really think I'm going to have anything in common with them necessarily. And if they're just going to send me that, pitch or that spam message, as I put it, again, not everyone sees this as spam, but something that's not going to be relevant to me, it's just going to take up my inbox. And I already get like hundreds of messages a day. So it's very hard to kind of keep up with everything. Just try to avoid. Now, again, you're right, Samson, not everyone's reached the level. And I started out with, a few hundred connections as well. And it builds up over time. You don't have 20,000 connections overnight, but what does happen is you build up over time, but you want, again, try to get as many strategic connections and real relationships that you can continue building as possible. So another thing that is really, really important, how to connect. And we're talking about here, the question over here is how to connect with the right people. Okay. And now I started out here with the connection request. One way to connect with the right people is when you're getting these incoming messages, right? But what about finding people? What about outgoing? How do you find the right people? So I think likes are leads. Okay. So the best way to make new connections are people that like your own content. So if you put out a piece of content, that's great. All right. Here, this is a good, this was actually a good post that I did a while back, and I had 140 reactions on it. So I just go through the reactions and I look to see who's not yet a first connection. Like someone there obviously found my post through one of their connections. Remember, I went to the LinkedIn feed and saw, I'm not seeing posts from the fact that the person's posting it. I'm seeing that one of my connections commented on that. So I'm finding a post that someone else I'm not connected with. And here I'm looking, okay, here's Moshe. I don't know him. He's a CPA. Okay. He's a CTO at a CPA firm, but nevertheless, it's someone I work with accountants. So for me, this might be a very good connection. Okay. Here's a first connection, another second connection. She's a CPA as well. He's a real estate investor. These are people that I work with. These are people that I could do business with. So these are people I would be interested in connecting with further, right? So what will I do? I'll just take these, I'll go to their profile and I'll take 10 seconds and write a thoughtful note. That's it. Just sending a connection request without a thoughtful note to me doesn't make sense. It literally is just kind of shooting in the dark. And yes, a lot of people just connect with everyone, but you're missing the opportunity to start a conversation, which is really what connections are all about. So what I'll do is I'll just connect with them and shoot a little message like, great to connect with you. Thank you for liking my post yesterday, right? Or something like that. And if they respond to that, oh, I really like that, your message, I might respond back and start a conversation saying, what did you like about that post? Or I saw that you commented on my post. Thank you for commenting. I liked what you had to say, or I didn't like what you had to, whatever it is, you start a conversation. Again, this is really what it's all about. Again, here's another opportunity, someone's second connection. So now the question comes to what should you post? Okay. Social media, how to use it. Should you just be, you're right. People ask this all the time. What should I post? Okay. I don't think you should be posting like a lot of people like to just post when they have a win, right? People like to post when they have, a congratulatory post. They closed a deal, and those are great, right? However, what I say is share your journey. Okay. Sharing your journey. This is what it's all about. So what does sharing your journey mean? Don't just post content about what you do, share who you are and where you're going. So what you do is important, but cost segregation is something that I do, but I don't post about cost segregation very often. I will, every once in a while, maybe 10 or 20% of my content might be around that. More often than not, I'll share about a podcast that I was a guest on and I discuss cost segregation. So that's a great piece of content to share. But your journey, okay? And again, if anything you do, that's what you should share. Okay. So if you were on a podcast, this is a perfect example right now, guys. You have the perfect opportunity to create a piece of content. And I know Samson's going to do this. Like I guarantee you, right? Take a screenshot of this and share. I'm on this, this podcast over here, this webinar with the GOB network, and Yona's talking about social media. This is an awesome topic, whatever it is. Or ask questions. Okay. But again, here, anytime you're participating in a webinar, you go to an event, anything. So that's what you should do. So who you are, I think you should post things about that. What you do, this is really important. Something that happened. Again, this is the example of something that happened, right? You went to a webinar, or you had a meeting, you had a sales meeting, you have questions, work related, inspirational. Okay. So should be sometimes. I'm not so into the inspirational stuff, but I do it from time to time because it does engender reactions and responses and good engagement. And so you're not going to reach the same people in your network with the same type of content over and over and over again. What you are going to reach is more people, the more diverse your content is. And again, you don't have to come up with the most crazy things all the time, but try out different things. Asking questions is a great way to reach out to people as well. So again, make sure that it is balanced. Don't just post the same thing every single day. Now there is room for that, but especially maybe you have like a tip. Maybe you have an expert in your industry and posting a tip. And I know a lot of people who are in like the syndication space, when they start out in real estate and they start out in syndication, they start out posting on social media, everyone has like this 30-day game plan where they're just posting about IRRs and about cash on cash and about all these different things and just introducing. That's great. it's really important to create that content, save that. It is important. However, if that's all you're posting, you're going to be only speaking to a very limited audience. However, you want to spread out your net wide because you may not be reaching people just with the same content. But if you're talking about different things other people are going to relate to, you may create relationships, find common ground through things about you and about what you're doing. And again, teach what you know. So yes, it is important to, and I have a saying, if you know ABCs, teach ABCs. Okay. You don't have to be the expert on a topic. I started calling myself the cost segregation expert when I was only working in the cost segregation industry for about 6 months or so. So I wasn't the expert. Now, the people I worked for and the company I worked for have been doing it for decades, and they certainly are the experts. So I had a lot to kind of fall back on. However, if you're in a niche, right, whatever it is that you know, teach that. Okay. And it's important to do this. Now, content can be anything, but teaching something, a subject, that's where you're going to get better at it. Getting on a podcast and sharing something that you know, whatever it is, that's something that, number one, you'll get better at. Number two, you'll find people that will learn from you. And when someone learns from you something, they already have that trust, right? That knowledge, they know who you are, and they start to trust because they see that you're someone that knows more than them. You're someone that maybe they can lean on for guidance. Maybe it's someone that can kind of show them the way. And this is important in every type of business situation you're in. You want to make sure that you're kind of the trustworthy, the person that is sharing the knowledge, et cetera. So this is, okay. So what else we got over here? You guys have questions, make sure to put them in the chat. I'd love to see back who anyone has questions over here. Yeah. So
this be a good time to take some of the questions and maybe continue.
Yeah.
What do you think? So we had a question from 1 second, please. From Wakefield. He was asking, nice low pressure way of getting started by commenting. Could you also ask questions on people's posts? Would you recommend asking questions on?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going back to, excellent question, Wakefield, is going back to what we were talking about, the 18 cents challenge, where you're commenting and engaging on other people's posts. Absolutely ask questions. So no, I wouldn't do it like in a blaring way that you're like trying, like overly trying to get a response. But I mean, if you truly have a question, absolutely. The best way to learn, the best way to get those connections is to ask a question, because you're much more likely engender a response if you ask a question. That's an excellent question. Excellent point over there.
We had also from Misi asking, do you like and comment on things specifically for your industry, or do you use it like an Instagram and like everything and anything? So I try to, I try to support as many people as I can. And it's a great way to support your friends, a great way to support your clients, especially. So for me, that's something I try to focus on a lot, but I do try to focus as much as possible on real estate or things that I'm, kind of passionate about, if it's charity or philanthropy, things like that. But I don't like other things that are totally irrelevant, because what happens is, and this is something that you get all the time, when you're scrolling through your feed, and you have to realize when your connections are scrolling through their feeds, okay, then what they're going to see is what you comment on or what you react to, what you like. That's how the LinkedIn algorithm works. Like I showed you again, I'll go back if I can. If I can get to the top of the page over here, it keeps pulling down the bar, so I can't even get to the top of my page. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we go back here. Get rid of that. Okay, and I go to the home bar, and again, I'm going to recent, or I'm going to even if I go to top, and I toggle to top over here. Okay, no one needs to see all my messages. I go to recent. You can toggle to top if I can. Something's really slow with my computer. And what you're seeing, again, you're seeing your, what's going on here? Top. There we go. 2 people viewed my post. That's pretty cool. Because I just posted something recently. I didn't refresh the page yet. So Esther, I'm seeing Esther commented on this post. Okay. So when I go to the top of my feed, I'm seeing, again, not someone else's post. I'm seeing what my connections are engaging with. Okay. I'm seeing, again, this is promoted. You always see promoted stuff. Oh, look at this, Misi. So Misi over here, here I'm seeing someone's post. So here I'm seeing someone else's post. This is great. When do you think the recession will hit? 25 and beyond. Okay. So I'm going to engage with that. Axel, okay, so we are seeing people's posts over here. So this is kind of maybe a bad example, because here we're seeing everyone's posts. We're not seeing people commenting on this. But again, what you are commenting on is going to show up in other people's feeds. And that's the point I was trying to make, is that I want to be sensitive as much as I can
to my connections. And I actually think about this a lot. So no, to answer that question, in short, I don't connect and comment and like every single thing like Instagram. I try to be wary that probably the majority of my connections are going to be focused on real estate. And when they're on LinkedIn, they are focused more on business. So I want to be mindful of that. So I try not to comment or engage with posts that much that are totally off topic. All right. Any more questions here in the time being?
We have a lot of questions and we have a lot of comments in the chat. Kish asks, do you only focus on LinkedIn, or do you do all social media platforms?
Yeah, so that's a perfect segue to the next slide over here. And I think I have another slide down the way. Yeah, where should you? Yeah, well, so yeah, the answer is I do not only focus on LinkedIn. I would say the majority of my time is on LinkedIn. However, I do use other platforms. I use Instagram, Facebook. And the funny thing is I use them like I use LinkedIn, meaning I don't really have friends on Facebook, real friends. Like you guys are my friends. But the point is like people from like my family and friends that I knew before business, pretty much I use Facebook the same way I use LinkedIn. And so all the friends that I have over there are through business or through that. So that's really interesting. There is like a small percentage, but it's very, very small. But that's an interesting thing. Not everyone uses Facebook like that. Not everyone uses Instagram like that. And I use Bizfluence also, which is a cool new platform. It's kind of popping up. It has a lot of potential. So there are a lot of social media platforms out there. I don't use TikTok, but for various reasons. But YouTube, I use a little bit. You want to make sure that you're not spreading yourself too thin. Okay. You cannot spend all day long. Well, one could theoretically spend all day long on social media, but if you want to focus, I would say focus on one, build that up as strong as you can, and then kind of go out to others as well. And so that's something. So let's just talk about this slide over here, which is going to maybe further this discussion. So the reason why I focus on LinkedIn specifically is because we're building our brand with social media. What is brand? Okay. Brand means branding, why it's so important. Again, a reference back to Gary Vaynerchuk, right? Crush It, Crushing It, Jab, 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 Right Hook. These are all great books to all talking about branding, about social media. And the reason why it's so important is because branding means when someone sees you, when someone sees your profile, when someone sees your name, they will automatically relate that, if your branding is done right, to who you are and what you do. They will never second guess that. I guarantee you, if you ask anyone, to this point, ask anyone, Yonah Weiss, mention Yonah Weiss, what is the first thing that comes to your mind, right? I guarantee you cost segregation is probably going to be 90% of the answers. Why? Because that's what I do and people relate that. And I make a point of that even though I don't post about cost segregation, which is an amazing thing, people will connect with me like, I love your content. I learned so much about cost segregation from you. The funny thing is I barely post about cost segregation. I barely post about what it is that I do, but because they see the name and they see the tagline, they're going to remember that. And yes, I've been a guest on tons of podcasts. And so I've spoken about it at length on those various platforms. However, that doesn't matter if people know what you do or know what it is really in detail, like syndication, right? Real estate investing. If that's not clear, if your messaging is not clear, like who that is, who you are and what you do and how you can help people, then people won't remember you. Like it's as simple as that. And so that's why branding is so important. Just saying the same message over and over and making sure that your tagline says the right message over and over again. And to this point, I did a poll a while back on LinkedIn when they polls first started coming out. I made a poll and it was something to the extent of, do you know what cost segregation is? Okay. Just curious out of my connections, like, do you know what it is? And the choices were like number one, yes, it's income tax deduction, right? Something like that. Or accelerated depreciation was like one choice. Okay. That's what it is. Second choice was like, has to do with property taxes, right? That was the wrong choice. Just trying to throw people off there, right? Third thing was, I don't know. All I know is it's what you do. Okay. And so that was the most commonly responded answer. All I know is that it's what you do, meaning people have no idea what it is, but that's okay, because when it will be relevant or when someone asks about it, they'll know who to connect them to. They'll know who it is that does that. If someone asks, oh, do you know someone that does conservation, or I heard this podcast on bonus depreciation or whatever, or I saw this article, I'm like, oh yeah, you should talk to Yona. That's what you want people to do. When someone says, oh, real estate invest, did you know you can invest like in an apartment building with someone else? Oh yeah, you should talk to my friend Samson. That's what he does. Like you want to make sure that people know who you are, what you do. Okay. So people have to know you in order to like you and trust you. And again, this is why brand and why social media is so important, because people can never like you or trust you if they don't even know who you are. Talk about why your team is amazing, what makes you unique, what's your value proposition, and why should they support you? It all goes back to giving. If you help others, they'll help you. So this is something that I focus on a tremendous amount, try to help as many people as possible on a daily basis. So this is something that I highly recommend. This goes back to the engaging on other people's posts, right? The more you spend time on other people's posts and focusing and trying to help other people, whatever it is, LinkedIn is a great way to do that, to make introductions, to tag people, etc. You're helping others. It's a really easy way to do that. So focus on that and you will get so much more back out of that. Wakefield asked a question over here. And Julie asked a question before that. If you have a W-2, how do you separate between real estate and your day job? That's an excellent question. I know a lot of people have that challenge, especially if your W-2 job is something that you don't really want them to know that you're focusing on real estate. So I've seen some people have that challenge, like, should I use LinkedIn because that's where my job is? What I've found is there's basically two camps. There's the camp of people, they don't want their employers or their business to know anything about their real estate investing. And so therefore it becomes very challenging to use LinkedIn in such a way, because obviously people won't see that. Or a part of that may be that the opposite, your job doesn't want you to be focusing on real estate. They don't want you to be spending time when you're working or spending any time, even after work, but promoting that when you're supposed to be focusing on your job. The other camp is people that their job is fine with them having hobbies or having side hustles or having other focuses as well. And therefore, I would use LinkedIn to your benefit, meaning, yes, you are a multifaceted person, right? I am a cost segregation expert. That's what I do. That's my full-time job. I also invest in real estate. Okay, it's in the same industry. I also have a podcast. I spend a lot of time on that. I also, do other things. You can be a multifaceted person. You can have more than one business. Now, again, if your current W-2 job is opposed to that, that may be challenging. But I think if they're not, then LinkedIn is a great way to share that and share that, yes, you're a multifaceted person. You have, and you can teach people. And something that I've found from a lot of people who have been in real estate specifically, once they start talking about real estate and talking about syndication, talking about investing and things like that, people at their work will start noticing and being like, oh, wow, I didn't know you did that. Let's talk about that. And so it's a great way to actually build that up. Another thing in that, if you're like a very large company, there may be an opportunity to have like a club or a meetup of some kind within that company. I've spoken at Amazon, AWS. I've spoken virtually at Intel. I've spoken at most recently last week at Facebook, Meta, right? They invited me, people at the company have real estate clubs within the company. So they take their lunch break or whatever it is once a month or once a week or whatever it is. And they have bring in guest speakers. And so it's an opportunity for you and your colleagues to actually focus on that. Yes, on their LinkedIn page, maybe they're not focusing on that too much. But again, if you put it out there, you'll be surprised. You may get responses from people that are in your industry and be like, oh, wow, I never knew you did that. Let's have a discussion. You may find investors that way or find deals or find partnerships. So it is a sensitive topic. I am aware, but there is definitely leeway. So let's see who asked. So Wakefield asked a great question. You create separate LinkedIn accounts for business versus your personal if you have W. So along the same thing, I personally would not create two separate profiles. It gets a little tricky that way. But if you are in the situation that I just discussed, you might want to consider doing that. But again, I have a friend who works for a bank, and the bank doesn't want to have him on LinkedIn having to do anything to do with his real estate investing. And he's a successful real estate investor also and enjoys his banking career. So he created a separate profile. And it's more like under a company name or something like that. And he doesn't even have his picture there. He just has like a logo, but he's able to kind of get away with that. So his company doesn't have, so I am aware it's an interesting question. I hope I was able to shed some light on it. So Yvonne asked over here, can you talk about following versus personalized connection requests? So this comes back to the question about about, there's something called the what's it called? The creator profile, the creator mode of your LinkedIn profile. It's something they introduced recently where you can, if you, use that mode, that creator mode, people, it makes it a little more difficult for people to connect with you. So the default option is just follow. On LinkedIn, I am personally, I like the connections, and I don't have the creator mode on for that reason, because I like the personal connections. I like for people to be able to send me connection requests and to start those conversations. And really, that's what it's all about, because you don't really get notified when people follow you necessarily. And so it makes it more difficult. You may have done an amazing one, and I had the creator mode on for a little bit. People, they're just following. And I have no idea who they are or why they follow me. But when it's clear and obvious, that's my preference. But there's, obviously it's different on different platforms. Okay. So let's talk about more why it's so important to post on social media and to keep that branding up. Okay. So here, this is a post that I did a while back. Again, this is from a previous presentation I did. So someone posted this is a Facebook, actually, believe it or not, this is not LinkedIn. Facebook, someone posted over here, hi, I was wondering if you had a referral for a cost segregation professional. Okay, so someone tagged me over here. Another person tagged me. Someone else mentioned another company. A third person tagged me, another company. Fourth person, fifth person, sixth person. Okay, so people were commenting and tagging my name. The next time someone tells you social media doesn't work, show them this. Why? Because talking about you when you're not around, you'll get referrals while you sleep. This takes time to build up, but if you're consistent, it will snowball. Okay, literally, I get every single day people sending me referrals or people sending me messages and reaching out to me. And this happens more times than you can imagine, where someone will ask about something like that. The same thing can happen to whatever it is that you do, whatever it is that you're focused on, especially if you're in sales in some kind of another, which really everyone is to a certain extent in sales. So if you're posting, and again, just people know consistently over and over again, this is what you do, right? This guy, I don't even know who this is. I honestly have no idea who this person is, right? This first comment, he was the first one to comment on this. I don't know who the person is. And nevertheless, they kept seeing my name and kept seeing this is what I do and kept seeing my content and knowing that I'm the person to tag on this. Okay. So that's the power of social media. And again, these connections, these are things, like I said, the name of the presentation is connections that convert. This is going to convert. The same thing holds true in any industry, what you do. I see, Samson, looks like we have some questions coming in from the LinkedIn Live. Should we touch on that a little bit?
Absolutely. I'm trying to refresh here. I can't see it on my end. Please feel free to.
Okay, so we got over here. Let's see. We got Jesse asked, just interviewed Yona Weiss. Dropping fire. That is true. Jesse, you are correct. Jesse asked, how can you take relationships and discussions to the DMs without coming off as spammy? Awesome question. I think the best way to do that is by not coming off as spammy, meaning ask a genuine question. Now, not everyone is going to respond. Okay. It may take time, but the best way is, like, I go back to what we were talking about earlier. If that other person is posting their own content, engage with their content. Okay. That's the best way to start the conversation, because you're going to come off as someone, they know who you are. You just like their post. You just comment on their post. You just help them out. They're going to be much more open to having that conversation. Okay. So that's what Jesse asked. Again, not everyone's going to respond. Even if you send out messages to every single person that you connect with, which I used to do to every single person. I can't keep up with it anymore, but I try to as much as I can. When I get new connection requests and person doesn't add a message, I'll send them a little message and thanks so much for connecting. Is there anything I can help you with or anything like that? There's a way to do it with not coming off as spammy, but again, don't come off as spammy. It's as simple as that. Don't try to pitch them. Just have a conversation, right? Think about it like, I think of LinkedIn like a networking event. And we talked about this, Jesse, on your podcast. Think about it like a networking event. If you're at a networking event, you're not come up to someone and be like, hey, what do you tell me about what you do? And they're only like, okay, like, I don't know who you are. Maybe they're going to talk to you, maybe not. But if you just come off and like have a conversation or come and join an existing conversation already, if you know someone that's there, same thing. You find a post, one of your connections commented there, you join the conversation. Same thing. I much more connect with those people who then engage with my post and then send me a connection request. I'm like 99 times out of 100 going to connect with that person. So that's how to start the conversation. Bastian asks over here, are you using any sort of automation software connected to LinkedIn to run campaigns? No, I'm personally not. I know there are things out there that do that, but I personally don't use that for various reasons. The most important thing is that I think you lose the personal touch. And this is actually bring us to the next question over here. How do you make the most out of using social media? So taking advantage of the resources available, social media channels, right? Find out all those different networks that are out there. Podcasting, you can learn a tremendous amount. Jesse commented on the podcast we did. I had an interview on my podcast, Weiss Advice, with John Esperian, who's a LinkedIn nerd, a self-proclaimed LinkedIn nerd and expert, and posts tremendous amount of information about how to use LinkedIn and about the algorithm, about different experiments that he does. Literally, he's like a scientist, and you can learn a tremendous amount how to do that. And how to maximize the use of the platform. So there are so many different ways to learn over there. And then, connect with people, right? Connect with people, connect with your offline connections, right? That's the main thing over here, right? This is Jeff, right? I was GOB Network. This is Misi. We met in Orlando a few months back. These are the main thing is connecting offline. I personally think so. Doing webinars like this, right? All of you who are on this webinar, we're making a connection. Now, obviously, if you met in person, we're going to be able to further that conversation. It's going to be much better. But that's really what it's all about. I honestly believe it's, don't keep it online per se. Try to take it offline if you can. So going back to the comments, I see Cecilia asked a great question over here. What you say is more powerful in person who's starting out LinkedIn, posting or commenting. So I think, as I mentioned at the very beginning, the 18 cents challenge, that's the most important. That's for someone starting out. Focus on commenting, build your network through commenting strategically. You can read Gary Vee's article on the $1.80 challenge. He goes into it in much more detail. You go to my profile on LinkedIn, you can find one of my articles. You can scroll, find recent activity and articles. You'll find something that's called the 18 cents challenge. And speaking of challenges, guys, we have a LinkedIn 10-day challenge coming up in a couple of weeks. I'm going to post about it next week. We're going to start it again. We try to do it once a quarter and really gets people involved. So anyone who is interested in joining the next challenge, again, we're going to be starting in a couple of weeks. Please reach out to me, let me know, and we'll make sure that we can do that. But does anyone have any other questions while we're here?
Anybody who's in the Zoom meeting right now, feel free to unmute if you would like to ask the question here live too.
All right. I love that you guys are really engaging on the LinkedIn Live also. So if anyone else has questions there on the LinkedIn Live, those of you watching, please feel free.
I would like to ask a couple of questions.
Absolutely.
When you started out, you said 4 years ago. Would you say starting out today, what differences would you say there are in the platforms such as LinkedIn or Instagram or the ones that you're active in? What differences were there? I'm not saying that, it should have been better starting 4 years ago, but what could we learn from that starting today?
Definitely the platforms and all the platforms have become more saturated, more, people are using it more and more and more, especially with the pandemic past couple of years. People switch to social media a lot more. Did I have another slide over here? Oh yeah. Look at that. The best marketing doesn't feel like marketing. That's a great quote. I like that. And I'll also go back to my thing here. I like the picture of Jim. LinkedIn, Gary Vee was talking about this for 10 years already. LinkedIn is the platform that is organic reach. I think the reach has gone down a lot in the past several years. There's definitely a lot more opportunity previously. And they've introduced many more features, right? Video has become more popular. LinkedIn Live we're doing right now, polls and different things. The main thing is, and this really makes all the difference, what's the same is the ability to connect with people across the globe, across the country, wherever it is that you're focused on, and the right people. Again, if you're strategically connecting, don't worry about metrics. I always say this all the time. I post, at least once a day, at least during the weekdays. Also got my self promo Sunday that I do every week. But the weekdays I post every single weekday. I try to at least once. And I see the metrics, I don't focus on it, like how many likes, how many comments, even though in our LinkedIn challenge, we try to focus on those metrics just because it's a challenge, because we want to try to get there. We want to try to use the platform to our to our benefit. But I'm really, not focused on that. What I'm focused on more than anything is those conversations. Like I said, I have hundreds of messages in my LinkedIn, and my messages on LinkedIn are more, more active than my email. I mean, I have hundreds of emails also, but I focus on that because these are real conversations. These are people that it's really easy to kind of message, who they are, you can connect with them, you can try to make introductions. That's the main thing I would say is the difference between now and then.
That's super cool. We have Wakefield here asking another question. How did you establish your credibility as an expert without actually posting about it? Is it better to go on podcasts or conferences and use LinkedIn mainly for relationship building engagement to supplement and support others? What would you say?
Yeah, so it is very difficult to establish yourself as an expert without actually posting. So I would say starting out, focus on the engagement more than anything, but try to post. That's why I have this LinkedIn challenge to post original content every day. And that's really the way that you're going to be seen. If you're sharing that content and yes, podcasting, by the way, being a guest on other people's podcasts was probably something that helped accelerate that more than anything else. And being a guest on other people's podcasts, it gives you great content. I mean, think about it. You're able to use every time you're a guest. Like I said earlier, if you guys want to take a screenshot of this or just do a post, you don't have to take a screenshot, just do a post. I learned, these are the top three things that I learned from Jonas' talk on Social Media Connect. That is content, whatever it is. So if you're a guest on a podcast, or even if you just listen to a podcast. But again, going back to I don't want to get distracted from the question, being a guest on podcasts and conferences, yes, those definitely help. But posting consistently every single day is what's going to help build your network, to help build that brand and help build the trust. Because again, it does take time. It's not something that's going to happen over the course of a month or even 6 months. It will take more time than that. But if you are consistent, if you're looking the long game, and this is what Gary Vee talks about all the time, you got to look in the long game. Don't think about the next 3 months. Think about the next, 10 years or whatever it is. So focus on that and know that if you do put in the time, you put in the reps, it will pay off over time.
That's excellent. Another question, where do you see all these social media platforms? You talked a little bit in the future about more video, and they have evolved over the years. Where do you see it? You've been very active. What do you see the future of social media and posting?
It's really hard to tell what the future brings. And everyone's changing all the time, right? Every platform changes from time to time. You have to focus on the trends. That's what I would say. Look at what the trends are and see what other people are talking about. And like I said, there are resources. There are people out there that are talking about the trends, people that actually know, people that focus on these kind of things, and their businesses create around that. I like to follow people who are social media marketers, okay? And I look on what they're doing and what they're talking about and just, replicate that in my own words and in my own voice. But if they're saying, you should be focusing on live videos right now, because that's what's being seen by the most people, then guess what we're going to do? We're going to do a live video. If they're saying, focus on long form, text posts, right? Then that's what we're going to do. You don't share links, whatever it is, listen to the experts, follow them. They bring, their experience speaks for itself, because if these people are successful, that means that they're actually, putting bread on the table because of what they're talking about. So that what they're saying is correct. Okay.
That's super cool. One last, or I think this is one of the last questions. If you are live on LinkedIn, definitely feel free to put in the comments. If you're watching this here on Zoom, also comments, more questions. This is super cool. If you haven't connected with Joona yet, what are you waiting for? This is really go for it. A question: what resource or what person, when you were saying earlier about people that you follow within the marketing industry looking for guidance, what resource or podcast person would you say this is the one? If all others were gone, this is the one that I would follow.
For LinkedIn specifically, there's this guy, I mentioned him before. I interviewed on my podcast. His name's John Esperian, Esprian. He's from England, and very, very smart guy, and talks a lot about LinkedIn. In fact, this week he has he's launching like a whole platform it's kind of his own network kind of thing to have these conversations. But yeah, if I had to pick one person for LinkedIn specifically, that would be him.
Just dropped in the chat. That's excellent. Is there any? Oh, we have a question. We're going to go to the question from the audience first. Tish is asking, Yona, what would I have to do to introduce you and speak at a club I'm creating for my company?
All you have to do is ask. That's it.
Roast mouth doesn't get fed. This is perfect. Time to ask. And he shared. Could you please leave up the connection? How to connect with you? I saw your email was there and your connection.
Who, me?
Yeah. Yes, please.
Okay. I'll put. You know what? I'll put the what's
Maybe
it called?
LinkedIn. Maybe we can
What?
share the link. Maybe we can share your LinkedIn link.
Well, everyone probably knows me on LinkedIn, right? You guys know how to find me on LinkedIn. There's only one Yona Weiss on LinkedIn, guys, so it won't be difficult to find me.
Yeah, I can reach you that way. Thank you, Yona.
Yeah, Kish, we're connected. We're definitely happy to talk again.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Any last questions from anybody watching this live? Now is the time. Otherwise, what book or PDF or anything like that would you say is, hey, you mentioned your resource too. Feel free to share that link if you have the link available. What book or resource would you recommend? Hey, start here. Start with this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I mentioned before Gary Vaynerchuk a couple of times. He's just an incredible resource. He has a few books. One that I would highly recommend is something called Crush It and Crushing It are both awesome books. But I would say if you had to choose one, probably Jab, 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 Right Hook. That's awesome. What's it called? Yeah, book. There you go. And resource I put in I put in the chat over here on the link in the Zoom, the link to my website where you can find that free download to help basically build your profile. Yeah.
That's excellent. So you have a challenge coming up. Will you be posting about it? Do you already know which day we can go there and apply for it?
Everyone's welcome. Everyone's welcome. Samson, it's a killer.
I would like to, everybody who has followed me over the past half year, you saw that I had no connections before I met Yona. I started with Yona's challenge. It's almost to the date 6 months ago, and just go for it. It is the best you can do for your branding. It's 10 days of pain if you're not used to it, but it's growth pains. It's growth. It's really, really good for you. So go for it. Even if you're not feeling confident you can pull through, you will make some great connections. That's what it's all about. Definitely recommend it.
Yeah. So it's going to come up in the next couple of weeks, probably in a week or two. I will be posting about it. So keep posted.
That's excellent. All right. Thank you so much, Yona, for making time for this. We really appreciate you here at the GOB Network. And y'all can unmute if you want and give a hand or show the clap emoji or just thank you so much, Yona, for making time for this.
Thank you, Yona. I'm
Thanks,
disappointed
guys.
our selfie didn't beat up Misi though.
What's that?
I'm disappointed my selfie didn't beat up Misi's selfie.
Oh, you know what? I didn't know who was going to be on the call. I knew Misi and Jeff with me, so I wanted to. And Jim, yeah, Trevor. The amazing thing is that it's not about the selfie. It's about the conversations, about the people. So I appreciate having the opportunity to meet you also.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely connect with Yona if you haven't already, and you can find him on yonawise.com. He has the resource right there. Wise Advice, one of the best podcasts I've ever heard, and I hear a lot. I read a lot. What Yona knows, he's not kidding. He's the cost expert, and he's definitely expert also within branding, and he knows a lot about social media. Definitely follow him.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for making time for this.
Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Yona.
And feel free to reach out, guys. Absolutely happy to talk further with anyone.
Absolutely. Great job, y'all.